Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare
Ram.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna. Hare Yeah. Hare Krishna. So we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Prema Padmini Mataji from Bangalore, India. Mataji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam 8th Canto, 15th chapter and verse number 32. Hare Krishna Mataji.
14th or 15th? 14th, na? Or 8.15. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So whenever you are ready, please take over, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girin Yat Kripatamaham Bandi Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Ajnanatimrindasya Gyanjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shamate Jayapataka Swamanati Namni Namacharya Padaya Natai Kripa Pradayani Gurkata Damdaya Nandagram Tarni Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminati Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesh Sonivali Paschata Deshtarni Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 8 Chapter 15 Experience Evam Sumantritartaste Gurunartanudarshina Hitva Vishtapam Jagmur Girvana Kamarupina. Sukhdev Goswami continued. The demigods, being thus advised by Brihaspati for their benefit, immediately accepted his words. Assuming forms according to their desire, they left the heavenly kingdom and scattered without being observed by the demons. The word Kamarupina indicates that the demigods, the inhabitants of the heavenly planets, can assume any form they desire. Thus, it was not at all difficult for them to remain incognito before the eyes of the demons. Deveshva ata Nilineshu Balirvairochana Purim Devadhanim Atishtaya Vasam Ninye Jagatrayam. When the demigods had disappeared, Bali Maharaja, the son of Virochana, entered the heavenly kingdom, and from there he brought the three worlds under his control. Tam Vishwa Jainam Shishyam Bhrigava Shishya Satena Ayamedhanam Anuvratam Ayajayan. The Brahmana descendants of Bhrigu, being very pleased with their disciple who had conquered the entire universe, now engaged him in performing 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices. Purport. We have seen in the dispute between Maharaja Prithu and Indra that when Maharaja Prithu wanted to perform 100 Ashwamedha yajnas, Indra wanted to impede him. For it is because of such great sacrifices that Indra was made king of heaven. Here, the Brahmana descendants of Bhrigu decided that although Maharaja Bali was situated on the throne of Indra, he would not be able to stay there unless he performed such sacrifices. Therefore, they advised Maharaja Bali to perform at least as many Ashwamedha yajnas as Indra. The word Ayajayan indicates that all the Brahmanas induced Bali Maharaja to perform such sacrifices. Tatastad anubhavena bhuvanatraya vishrutham kirtim dikshu vithanvana sareja udurad iva. When Bali Maharaja performed these sacrifices, he gained a great reputation in all directions throughout the three worlds. Thus he shone in his position like the brilliant moon in the sky. That's the last verse of this chapter. Bhuje cha shriyam shraddham dvijadevo palambitham kritakrityam ivatmanam manyamano mahamana. Because of the favor of the Brahmanas, the great soul Bali Maharaja, thinking himself very satisfied, became very opulent and prosperous and began to enjoy the kingdom. The Brahmanas are called Dvijadeva and Kshatriyas are generally called Naradeva. The word Deva actually refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmanas guide human society in becoming happy by satisfying Lord Vishnu. And according to their advice, the Kshatriyas, who are called Naradeva, keep law and order so that the other people, namely the Vaishyas and Shudras, may properly follow regulative principles. In this way, people are gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Thus, then, the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Bali Maharaja Conquers the Heavenly Planets. So, Bali Maharaja, he was, first of all, he was very qualified, though he was a demon, because he's a pure devotee. And he always followed rules. He was very moral. Even though he was an asura, he guided the asuras properly. He didn't do immoral things just to gain victory and so on. So, and also because he followed the Brahmanas perfectly, that is, descendants of Bhrigu are Shukracharya. The Brahmana, Shukracharya is the son of Bhrigu Muni, and all the Brahmanas, along with Shukracharya, they were guiding Bali Maharaja. So we can see that the Brahmanas can be demons also. They knew Brahman. Brahman realized that they knew what is right and wrong. They knew the Vedic literatures. They knew how to perform yajnas. They were performing yajnas for Vishnu, and they knew how to follow Varnashrama Dharma also. But they were not inclined to the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. That is the strange thing. But the Lord allows everyone to have their, every dog has his day. So the saying goes. And even though, normally, actually, only the devas are allowed to, rule over the Swarga. But once in a way, it is not, even though Indra has performed all the sacrifices and he is he's qualified to rule over Swargaloka, but he becomes puffed up from time to time because it's very difficult for a living entity, conditioned being, who's not fully purified yet, to have that kind of opulence. Because his kingdom is very, very opulent and he has vast control over this universe in the maintenance, and all the devatas report to him. And so all these things makes him a little puffed up from time to time. And one becomes an Indra only with a material desire to enjoy. So as long as that enjoying tendency is there, he is likely to commit some mistakes from time to time because of too much attachment, or due to the Maya, due to forgetfulness of one's position. And so he offended his own guru. On the other hand, Bali Maharaja, even though he's an Asura, the Asuras are not supposed to rule over the heavenly planets. They are meant to be there in the Patala Loka. But they're cousins of, not cousins, co brothers or step brothers of the Devas. Because they are actually, Diti and Aditi, they are co-wives. They're sisters and co-wives of Kashyapa Muni. But Diti had all Asuras as her sons, and Aditi had all Devatas. So they were step brothers. But they should have been satisfied with whatever according to their karma. This is what, because of their tendency to not worship Lord Vishnu, they were given the Patala Loka, which it's called like Bilas, it's called known as Bila Swarga. It also is very opulent and very beautiful. In fact, more beautiful than even Swargaloka. But the only negative thing about the Patal Loka is there is no sun. The sun does not reach the Patal Loka. And the only light comes from the rays of the money or the jewels in the head of the serpents, the Nagas, who are in the bottommost this thing of the Patal Loka, and the light from that travels throughout the Patal Loka. That is the only light. And so it is like, um, very, very dim, dark, actually. That is very depressing. Even in our earth, those countries which are situated near the poles, you know, especially all these Nordic countries, and even in Russia and all that, the ones which are closer to the poles, the temperate regions, they have, like in the winter, there's hardly any day. The sun sets very fast and the sun rises very late. They have sunlight for a very short time. Most of the time, it's dark. So people become depressed. Many times they try to commit suicide because of this. Without any sun, the sun one cannot be happy because the sun brings positive energy. We are advised to sit in the rays of the sun, not only for the vitamin D, but also because sun gives energy. Sun gives brightness. So in the Patala region, they don't have sun at all. The only light is coming, that too, it's artificial light. So they are very, unhappy. Why they are put in the Patala region. And not only that, the Devatas have got, such, prestige of ruling the world. Helping the Lord in administration, of being in charge of different, they're very powerful. And they have this services also, they have responsibilities, so they are considered with great respect. On the other hand, asuras don't have any such responsibility. They have kings and all that, they have their kingdoms, but in comparison to the devas, they are considered less cultured also. So they are always trying to fight with the devatas and take over Swarga. That is what I mean. It's so irrational. Why should they? Actually, they're not. It's not their right. Sometimes the modern, thinkers. Oh,
Hare Krishna Mataji, we can't hear you. Hari Bol.
Yes, Mataji, we can.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, could you please check?
Mataji, can you call Mataji on a phone and maybe network issue?
Prabhu, I think Shamrasika Mataji is checking. She's checking on her. Maybe calling her.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm calling Mataji, but she's not picking the phone. Maybe some internet problem happened.
Yeah. We can chant until then, until Mataji gets back.
Yeah.
Devotees can chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Mataji is joining.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I charge went off. I thought I had noticed. Okay. So where were we? The devatas. So the devatas have the what do you call their karma, or because they've done a lot of pious activities, and because they're favorable to Lord Vishnu, and so they have got this chance of being in the Swargaloka. And the asuras, it is because of their you know um, of their animosity towards Lord Vishnu. And that is why they have they are kept in such a place. So they have to be satisfied. Sometimes modern people, they think that why these, it's not fair that asuras should be in such a place. But it is just a reflection of their consciousness because they are so much against Vishnu. And that is why Vishnu is always supporting. I mean, he is equal to both. He keeps urging the asuras also to take shelter of him. In fact, even at the point of death, Rama asked Ravana to surrender. Even now, it's not too late, and you can be saved, you can be liberated. But he refused. So that is the envy is so deep. And how do they expect that, that they are so envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that extends to others also. And so they are so envious of the Devas. And that is why there is always such animosity. And normally, of course, whenever they do any tapasya, it is to get Swargaloka. First thing is they want to be immortal, and then they are afraid that nobody should be able to kill them so that they can live as long as they can in the same body. They're very attached to their body and sense gratification. And the third thing they ask for is Indrasan, the position of Indra. So that is very deep rooted among the asuras. So even though Bali Maharaja is a pure devotee, because he is acting like an asura king, he has to act according to whatever they desire. I mean, as a king, he has to represent uh, what the asura's mentality is and act like an asura, but like a good asura who follows all the principles. So actually, Krishna, that's why in the family of Diti, actually, he is blessed Diti a lot, even though because of whatever, not following the principles, regulative principles of Garbhadana Samskara, and having, you know, had sex at the wrong time of the time. She was destined to get Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha as her sons. But even though, I mean, then Kashyapa Muni told her, in spite of getting these asuras, will be create great, misery for the whole world, for the devatas especially. The good thing is that they will be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. And secondly, in your and their son, Hiranyakashipu's son, Prahlad, will be a great devotee. And not only for whom the Lord Himself will come, and the Lord will keep coming. Again, He will come for Bali Maharaj's sake as Vamana Dev. And Prahlad Maharaj, Virochana, and Bali Maharaj, all three were pure devotees. So that is the blessing Krishna gave to the Asuras. And not only that, he gives the Asuras also a chance. Those who followed Prahlad Maharaj, those who followed Bali Maharaj, they would have been liberated. So Krishna's mercy, he is equal to all. He comes and arranges for a big warfare in which all the Asuras come, and in his presence, they are killed, then they become liberated, even though it's impersonal liberation. But still, they don't have to keep on according to their karmas wrought in the material world. So he's so kind, ocean of mercy. He's always giving a chance to everyone. And so whoever follows, he is so impartial. Whoever follows the rules, then they will be benedicted. So Bali Maharaj, because he was following the Brahmanas, his guru, he was obeying them and respecting them. So he was getting a lot of blessings from them. On the other hand, Indra, because of being, a little puffed up by his material situation, he had offended his guru. So that is why now the Asuras were very, very powerful, and they were coming to conquer over, and they were rejuvenated. There was so much of strength in them. So we can see this strength comes because of blessings. It's not that they themselves are very strong. I mean, it keeps changing according to the spiritual blessings that one gets. They were blessed by the Brahmanas, and so they became very powerful. And that is why Brihaspati, as the guru of the Devatas, he told them that it's better not to fight with them because you will be defeated. Better to just disappear and then wait for a proper moment to again, to appeal to the Lord. So that is Devata. That's the different. And here he's saying about how Bali Maharaja, not only did he perform, the Brahmanas, he was following the Brahmanas, and they were advising him how to retain his position by performing yajnas. That's the chief method. I mean, from here we can understand, and we should learn also. Of course, we're all chanting Hare Krishna mantra, which is the sacrifice for this age. And we should understand that the more we chant, the more we are performing sacrifices. So naturally, it will be a source of all good for the whole world, for ourselves. Yajna is very important, and we are so fortunate that we've been given such an easy method of sacrifice. And we must see the Hare Krishna mantra that of being so important for us in all respects. Sometimes people only think Hare Krishna mantra is only for going back to God. Now I will just chant, I want to enjoy my life. But even for material prosperity and enjoyment, one has to perform sacrifices. So Hare Krishna mantra is very, very essential. One has to give his complete, this thing attention to it. We have Brahmanas who advise us, Prabhupada, and the spiritual masters and senior devotees, they're all who have already become Brahmanas. When Bali Maharaja performed these sacrifices, he gained a great reputation in all directions throughout the three worlds. Thus, he shone in his position like a brilliant moon in the sky. And that, so there was Bali Maharaja now he would be, so he's being compared to Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj also wanted to, he was ruling over the earth and he wanted to perform 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices for the benefit of, he didn't want position of Indra, but he wanted that his kingdom should be prosperous and all the people should be happy. So he was performing, and Indra was very threatened because he had done the 100 Ashwamedha yajnas. And if Prithu Maharaj also performed them, then he will be equal to him and he could also take over his throne. And so he tried his best to stop that. He tried to steal the horse. He stole the horse and went and tied it in Kapila Muni's ashram and all these things. So here, so they advised Bali Maharaja to perform at least as many Ashwamedha yajnas as Indra. And then one more thing is that because of the favor of the Brahmanas, the great soul Bali Maharaj, thinking himself very satisfied, became very opulent and prosperous and began to enjoy the kingdom. So the Brahmanas are really worshipable because they are doing, even for material benefits, they're doing for others. They're trying to guide the Kshatriyas, how to perform all these religious duties for others also, but nothing for themselves. Brahmanas are supposed to be renounced, not interested in sense gratification, but they have to guide the others to perform these sacrifices, so that they can gradually be elevated. And so they are called Dvija Deva, twice born Devatas. And Kshatriyas are generally called Naradeva because they are doing more mundane work of ruling. But again, they're also doing for the protection of all the people. They also sacrifice a lot. And they are engaged in performing sacrifices by the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas guide human society in becoming happy by satisfying Lord Vishnu. And according to their advice, the Kshatriyas, who are called Naradeva, keep law and order so that other people, namely the Vaishyas and Shudras, may properly follow regulative principles. So the Kshatriyas see to that. It is their duty to make sure that Vaishyas and Shudras are properly following regulative principles. In this way, people are gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So, we also have Varnashrama Dharma right now. We should not think that because society has changed so much now. Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Japtak Swami had mentioned recently that you should not think that Varnashrama means that, I mean, right now, uh, to follow Varnashrama means that we should stop all our jobs and we should go back to these, either a Brahmana or a, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, okay, those are there, but to become a Brahmana and so on, to become a priest. Because someone asked Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj said that somebody, one of his disciples asked him, I'm a businessman, but then because it says we should follow Varnashrama, should I become a Brahmana? Shall I become a priest? Guru Maharaj said, your nature is to be a Vaishya, but you know, you do for Krishna, you work for Krishna's pleasure, for satisfaction, do your duty properly and share your profits with Krishna. That is your Vaishya Dharma. And that is, so he started doing that and he became a millionaire and he got so much money he also used for Krishna's service, for projects and so on in ISKCON. So because of that, I mean, we can see this is Varnashrama. That's what Daiva Varnashrama means. Whatever you're doing, you do it for the pleasure of Krishna. You may be a Shudra working in offices and so on. But there also, if we are doing it for the pleasure of Krishna and using the excess money for his service, whatever, so then we are this thing performing Daiva Varnashrama. And in this way, we'll gradually be elevated to Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is just doing whatever Krishna wants. No interest, beyond the modes, transcendental. So in Daiva Varnashrama, people um, are in the modes. Brahmana is more in the mode of goodness, Kshatriya, passion and goodness, Vaishya, passion and ignorance, and Shudra is ignorance. But by following the Brahmana's directions and by following their dharma, everybody's got a particular dharma according to the modes they've acquired in the caste system. So if you follow that properly in order to please Krishna, and that's how then we become gunatit beyond the three modes and come to the transcendental platform. So that is also just by chanting Hare Krishna mantra, everybody can do according to their whatever the modes they've acquired. It doesn't mean that you have to give up your occupation and then just become a priest or just do only those kind of direct service to the Lord. Then only you'll go back to Godhead. But any work done, it is the motive which Krishna sees. So what do you want to do? You want to please Krishna. And whatever it may be, Krishna is not only happy with opulent things. He's only sees what is the mood in which we offer. We can see how he showed us in the example of how he did not take the opulent offering of Duryodhan, but he went to Vidura's house. And he told that Vidura has invited me to his house. And Vidura was surprised. He didn't tell Krishna anything like that. But he immediately rushed to his house and told his wife to keep something. He was a poor Brahmana. He was living. See, Vidura was not taking the opulence. He was not dependent on Duryodhan at all. So he was very bold. He spoke the truth. On the other hand, we see that Dronacharya, Kripacharya, all were being maintained by Duryodhana. And so they were so afraid to speak the truth. Krishna did not, favor them. He favored Vidura, who was a pure devotee. And so he went there and he he told his wife, quickly arrange something. Krishna's coming to our house. So she brought bananas, whatever was just fresh there, and she started offering it to Krishna. So Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. He only sees the love with which her devotion. He tastes only that. Otherwise, he can eat anything he wants. He's so self satisfied. And there are so many devotees offering him all opulent things. He doesn't really require anything. He only wants everything is for the exchange of love. When he eats food, it is always done with love, just to exchange love. Otherwise, he's not dependent on food like us for the taste, for our taste buds mostly, and also hunger. So, and so that is by following Daiva Varnashrama, we are gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness, where we simply want to love Krishna and serve him, whatever way he wants. And so this is amazing that Krishna consciousness is not dependent on your material situation at all. Anybody can become transcendental if they learn to do all activities for the pleasure of Krishna. And we've been given all the systematic ways of, progressing so that we get purified and our desires are in sync with Krishna consciousness. That our desires are not, our modes are not forcing us to do some sinful activity initially, and those sinful activities are also destroyed. I mean, the desire to do sinful activities are almost removed by doing Krishna conscious activities. The program that Prabhupada has given, getting up early and chanting Hare Krishna and attending the Bhagavatam class, and so Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, then what happens? All Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, all the inauspicious things within our heart. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, everything is destroyed. And Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Bhakti develops in the heart for the Uttama Shloka, Krishna, who is glorified with choicest of verses. So everything has been given, and in the evening, Prabhupada says, do the arati for the Lord and read the Bhagavad Gita, eat only Krishna Prasadam, and associate with devotees, listen to Krishna Katha, and that's it. We can very quickly progress, however sinful we may have been in the past. But just by following this program, we can become like Brahmanas or even better than Brahmanas, sadhus, saints or pure devotees who are only living to please Krishna. So that's, this is a science actually, how to live in this material world happily. It's not perfect. It is a place it's meant to be miserable, but we can make it as pleasant as possible by following the system of sacrifices to please Vishnu. And Krishna is very equal. Even the asuras do all those things properly. He gives them also a chance. Like Bali Maharaja. And because of him, all the asuras, they also were enjoying their place in the Swargaloka and so on. And he became very opulent and prosperous and began to enjoy the kingdom. So, of course, the Devatas were very sad. And Aditi, you'll see how she was trying to again satisfy Vishnu. And Vishnu favors the Devatas only because they are obedient sons, obedient devotees of his. And they want to follow Vishnu's instructions. So it seems rather unjust that Vamanadev came to snatch Bali Maharaj's kingdom and push him down and install Indra. And people who don't know the philosophy will think, why is the Lord, how do they say that the Lord is impartial? Why did he come to do this against Bali Maharaj, who was a very good person, who was a devotee? Why? Because the asuras are not supposed to be in the Swargaloka. It's not their place. Somehow, for some time, because he pleased the Brahmanas and all that, he was allowed to be the king for some time. But then again, he had to go back to the Patal Loka. And meanwhile, Indradev had repented sufficiently, and then he had gone and under his guru's instructions, no, his own mother, she prayed to Lord Vishnu, and so he agreed to be born as a son and protect the Devatas. So he favors the Devatas. It seems so he pushed the Bali Maharaja down, but he promised him that in the next Manvantara, when you take another birth, that time you can become Indradev. He was qualified to be Indradev, but that is not his permanent position. So as an Asura, he was not. He had no right to be here, and that is why the Lord pushed him down to the Patal Loka. And but because he was a great devotee, the Lord said, "I myself will come and be your um, what do you call guard, security to guard you." So that affection was maintained. But then, karma wise, he was not called. They were not asuras. Were not to permanently rule the Swargaloka or this universe, and that's why he was pushed down. And also, so and Bali Maharaj, he understood whatever the Lord does is always perfect, and so he accepted the Lord's decision. He didn't feel bad that and feel, you know, dejected that the Lord is partial to the Devatas. But he understood that, whatever the Lord does is perfect. So the life of Bali Maharaj especially teaches us so many things about being surrendered to the instructions of the Brahmanas, the Guru, and following and serving them very humbly. Even for material prosperity, one who is under the shelter of the Brahmanas and gets their blessings, that is all one has to do. Be very humble, serve the Brahmanas, get their instructions, perform whatever. They are ready to do all the sacrifices also. But in this age, we don't even need the Brahmanas for doing our sacrifices. We ourselves can sit and do japa and kirtan and read Bhagavad Gita here. It's become very simple, isn't it? Any kind of sacrifice, actually, it's much more satisfying in this age to engage in japa, kirtan, and reading the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Those are the things, I mean, which are very, very powerful and pleases the Lord much more, much simpler to do that. And we are very, very fortunate. So these sacrifices, we must do it with that, that kind of a mood that I'm performing a sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu. We should not do it mechanically or without understanding why we are doing it. Just like, okay, I've just promised I'll do, so let me do it. That will make it very mechanical. But when we think about how great and extraordinary it is that the Lord Himself is coming in the holy names, in the yajnas, after they recite the Vedic hymns and all, after they've finished the full ritual, if the Brahmanas have done it with a proper motive and proper concentration and trying to please the Vishnu, then he appears. But here, every word of Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna is appearing in his holy name. But of course, he appears to that extent to which our word is sincere. Actually, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur, once he had taken his sons, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and two more sons, and they visited a village. And just for I don't know why they went there. And then the villagers told him not to go to a particular place they said that that place there is a ghost, and he troubles everyone and he throws bricks at them and all that. Please don't go. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur went anyway. We went there, and so he went, and the next day they came back also. So the villagers asked what happened. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told them that yes, those ghosts, they did that ghost. He was throwing bricks at us, but my father Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he chanted Hare Krishna mantra, and then the ghost went away. Or so what happened was, so then they asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how was this I mean, the villagers told him, actually, this ghost had been a Brahmana priest, and he was taking care of a temple, and he was always chanting the mantra, the Lord's names. Then how did he become a ghost? They asked him. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, see, he must have, how was he? He asked him. They said he was a very bad person. He was always, very nasty to people, harming people and all that. He was not a good person. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, even though he was chanting the holy names, it was not, like it was very superficial. When it is chanted without any concentration, very superficially, then it doesn't bring the Lord. The holy name, if we concentrate on the holy name, then the Lord appears. So from the very beginning, we can have the association of the Lord. That is the privilege in the Kali Yuga for us performing. Anybody can perform this sacrifice. Lord Chaitanya is so merciful. He wanted everyone, people of all castes, people of all genders, to be able to chant, to perform this sacrifice. When we understand that in earlier ages, who can perform sacrifice? Only the Brahmanas. And the Kshatriyas will be the Yajaman. And all the other people will simply participate, that's all. In the yajna, I mean, they'll just be a witness. It's not that everyone can do it, but in this age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made everybody perform that topmost sacrifice. But we get the qualification to do the sacrifice properly by elevating our consciousness. We have to come to the level of Brahmana. Then, when we chant, we become liberated from all material contamination. So powerful that even Jagai and Madha, of course, immediately because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, they were elevated. They were completely all the dirt and the filth which were in their heart were completely destroyed in a moment. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. We also can get that mercy provided we want it. We want that. We want to be liberated. And so we have all these powerful methods by which quickly we can become a Brahmin initiated person. Brahmin initiated person and chant the Gayatri mantra, because the Gayatri mantra can take you to the point of liberation. But for Krishna Prem, so that we can get Krishna Prem faster. But Hare Krishna mantra is what evokes the Prema for the Lord, the Bhava. And so only if we chant it with attention, then then we can associate with the Lord. Otherwise, it'll be a superficial name. And even though, so that person became a ghost because of his bad activities. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so those villagers asked, what, isn't there any hope for such people who become a ghost? He said, no. If a pure devotee comes and chants, they hear that Hare Krishna mantra, they can be liberated. So which is what happened when Bhakti Vinod Thakur went there, and because his chanting was very pure, and the ghost got immediately liberated. So our chanting will become more and more powerful and effective as sacrifices when we don't listen to the mind and listen only attentively to the holy name. So we should ignore. Prabhupada said, ignore the mind. Don't talk to it. Don't try to placate it and tell all, or try to think in your mind of different things so that the mind will stop harassing us. But just ignore it. Let it be telling something or the other. Our attention, he said, where is the mind come in chanting process? Prabhupada said, the tongue is chanting, the ears are hearing. You don't go above that. The mind may be rattling all nonsense, just ignore. Like we ignore a small child which may be, crying out and creating a big disturbance to draw attention. You just ignore the child, it will immediately calm down. So the mind is also like that. You ignore it, it'll come down. It'll calm down. And we must have full faith in this process that yes, if I just chant without listening to the mind and I listen to the holy names, initially we may not get the taste and it might be quite mechanical, repeating it again and again and again. But just the whole secret is to stop listening to the mind and listen only to the Hare Krishna mantra, and then the holy name. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has compared it to, he has given that different kinds of chanting, um, has like Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha and all these different levels of our advancement to different coins, and Krishna Prem to the gold coin. And like that, the more that we chant, it depends upon our faith. So the faith is the money we pay for getting the holy name. The more faith we have for the holy name, the more we think this is Krishna himself. And this is the best yajna. And this is the best activity I'm doing for the whole day. All other things are simply some, illusory activities. I'm forced to do, I'm doing it. But the most important activity I'm doing in my day is chanting. So we should give all importance to that. And our life is getting glorified only because of this. Every morning we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra. We are considered a devotee, and we are considered, Krishna really keeps us in his purview. We are in his jurisdiction. He is trying to pull us closer and closer. We are in his orbit, and he is thinking about us and reciprocating with us. The more we think of him, the more we become aware of him, aware of his presence in our lives. So that is, so it's become so easy. And on top of that, Krishna has given us the internet and now AI also. Devotees use all these facilities for Krishna consciousness, and it's aiding us, right? But through the internet, how many things we have benefited. So much of communication, so much of knowledge, sharing of knowledge. So Krishna is really helping. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is helping us in this Kali Yuga. And now AI generated so many things are coming up, which is making Krishna consciousness more pleasurable, more easy, more available. Only thing is our desire should be there. Desire to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness, because that is reality. Everything else is an illusion. And the more we perform our material duties properly, the more we will understand. Material duties are also important. Sometimes devotees, they think only spiritual duties I'll do. I'll not do material duties. They think, oh, it's a waste of time. No, material duties help us to become detached. That is the purpose of doing material duties properly for Krishna, so that we stop gratifying our senses through those material duties. Otherwise, any material duty we do, it's for our sense gratification, right? So that I will enjoy. But when we start using that material duty for Krishna's pleasure, then we are getting purified from that desire to enjoy this material world. So material duties also help us to become detached from this material world. So we do material duties also for Krishna's pleasure, and we do spiritual activities also. Then we are sitting in a supersonic jet, very quickly we can progress and go back to Godhead and be in that consciousness, even in this material world, so that we can function properly and we can be like how in the Bhagavad Gita it's mentioned like a lotus leaf, which is there in the water. It's in the water, but not off the water. The water cannot make it wet at all. Every drop of water which falls on the leaf doesn't actually wet the leaf at all. So, in the same way, that is how Krishna consciousness is. When we when we follow Varnashram properly, then we come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, which is doing everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Thank you so much for this excellent class, for such a wonderful explanation, Mataji. And I like that you how explained that we don't listen our mind while chanting. Just we are Prabhupada said we use just tongue and our hands and our Mahamantra for this Vajjapa and do practice. They don't listen and like how we ignore the child. And so thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any question or comment, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji, for this wonderful class. Very nice early morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All good.
Please accept
Prabhupada and
my
Guru Maharaj.
obeisances. Yes, so please
It
accept.
was really wonderful and very exciting to hear you today. Every time, like we feel that we are getting so much from your experience and classes. Yeah, the detachment and attachment concept you mentioned. So, so being in the material, all our jobs and everything. So you mentioned that we can utilize our material gains or uh, attachments into the by making it detached, making it usable in the spiritual aspect or spiritual places, like or sometimes at the needy places, So then how to make sure like at the same time there are the necessity of the material needs also. So how to balance that? It's a very small, simple thing.
Yeah, see, we have to do both. We see Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam Anusmara Yujyasva. Think of me and do your work. So while you're doing that, all the needs gets fulfilled. Like, we see in the life of King Priyavrata, he had renounced everything and he was trying to become a devotee, but the Lord made him send Brahmaji and tell him, no, you have to rule the country. His father also came and said, no, now your younger brothers full line have finished. There are no more kings after their descendants, so now you only have to come and rule. He was sitting in the forest, but because Brahmaji said, Lord himself wants you to rule. So when he came, okay, they said that because the Lord has asked you to do, he will protect you. Don't worry. So when he came, it seemed like he was very attached. He was attached and at the same time not attached. So this is the special facility given for a devotee, that you have to do your material duties, but you do it out of a sense of duty, that I'm doing it for what is the motive for your doing all those material duties? It is so that, okay, there is some enjoyments, sense gratification, family, All that is there. But the goal is what? I want to do this so that I get purified and I go back to Godhead. If the goal is fixed, then whatever we do will be attached and not attached also. Because we know, devotees know that all what we are doing is not the real thing with the bodily activities. But we have to do also, because that I mean, we are in this body and we have to purify and come to the platform of becoming transcendental. So suddenly we cannot become transcendental and say, I don't want, I'll just sit and chant all the time. So you're doing all duty, but we that is why Prabhupada said, do your morning program and then whole day whatever else you're doing will be very Krishna conscious. You start your work thinking of Krishna and everything will go very smoothly. Whenever there is a conflict or whenever there is a disturbance or some problem, then naturally you will think of Krishna instead of getting very agitated or taking all rash decisions or wrong decisions. When we are Krishna conscious, automatically we will do the right thing or think about Krishna. Or if it's too um, difficult to solve, we'll go to the right sources to help us. Or if nothing, we'll take the um, bead bag and start chanting. And definitely, we take shelter of Krishna. So, in this way, we are protected. And that is what, when there will be some sense gratification, that's all right. There will be some material endeavor, that is okay. So long as your goal is Krishna, then he will definitely take you towards that. Whether we like it or not, we are not transcendental. So our lives go through this ashrama, this thing, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and okay, you may not actually take sannyasa, but it happens in the heart. Sannyasa is not just wearing saffron dress and renouncing everything and going. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that sannyasa means not doing for sense gratification, not being attached to the results of your work. That is sannyas. So our lives are naturally going through that. Whether, I mean, even though we are not following Varnashrama, because of our materialistic tendencies, they have to become purified gradually. So it's there in the system. So we don't have to be worried. The goal is pure devotional service. I may not be a pure devotee now, but if you want to be a pure devotee and you're aspiring and you're praying to Him, then that's okay. Did it answer your question?
Yes, Mataji, one thing I got from what I understood, like if you start your day with this consciousness, Krishna consciousness, then definitely in case of any difficulties, and so the day may go smoother, so that's the takeaway I got it. So
And
and
also will become less and less, selfish. Because initially we do all percentage will gradually reduce. That also keeps happening. Thinking of Krishna means it's purifying our consciousness. And naturally, we will think more and more of serving the Lord rather than sense gratification. All that happens. So, thinking of Krishna is so important. Mam Anusmara, you just think of me and fight. That's all. Don't worry about other things. Yeah, morning program is nice and do your work. Everything will be fine. Yes, that's the magic potent thing is Krishna. Actually, when Prabhupada, there was one devotee who went to him, American devotee, and he told him, Prabhupada, I'm chanting some rounds. He was chanting 4 rounds or whatever. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita and all, but I cannot give up my drinking habit. What to do? Prabhupada said, no problem. Before drinking, you offer it, think of Krishna and then drink. So he did that, and very soon he gave up on drinking. He said, no, I got a higher taste. Of course, that is a bad habit. Now, there's material duties, it takes a little longer. And so, never, but the most important thing is thinking of Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha. All these things we do, we don't have to worry at all. You will reach your destination gradually. We follow Prabhupada's prescription, and we don't have to worry. Our goal is pure devotional service. We keep trying, then we will be this thing. But we shouldn't be complacent. We should do all these, daily, whatever our sadhana, and listen to Krishna Katha. Then automatically, just thinking of Krishna is so powerful. It increases our affection for him. That is the most important thing.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Mataji, what a wonderful class. Thank you so much. It was so relatable. Whatever you said, it was very practical and very relatable. Thank you so much, Mataji. And I was listening to your conversation and response to Nikunja Ras Prabhu's question. And I was just thinking somewhere I had heard that um, one should behave like a paramour, right? If you are in love with someone, when you are deeply in love, especially like we have all experienced this when we have small babies, and that the love that a mother has for a child, it's so deep. But with that, she does so many other activities, but her heart is always, especially when we send our little baby to school, we are at home, but our mind is always thinking about that child. Is he okay? How is he? So that's the kind of um, affection we should have for Krishna. We are engaged in everything, but our heart should be
Yes.
always, whatever we do. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah. Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if nobody has any question or comment, we can end up the call here. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Vancha kalpatarusya kripa sindhuveva
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथ राष्ट्र भागवतम की जय। हर ग्रेस प्रेम पद्मिनी माता जी की जय।
All spiritual devotees ki
की
jai.
जय। थैंक यू सो मच माता जी। हरे
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.